recording, and I will be a minute or so. I'm looking for something to talk about. And yes, I have to say that every time so that YouTube hears it.
Aha.
Okay. Couple tiny things to note right off the bat. Firstly, we are spam jumping here. Watch the spam jumping. Not sure if we mentioned that before, but that's just gonna make it easier for people to headshot us because it's easier to have people headshot people while they're jumping, as it's a trackable animation. When you go up, you have to come down. Additionally, we do have a little bit of a pause here while we're not shooting at anything. And typically on Zen and most characters where you're DPSing and you're pumping out damage, you want to pump out damage, so you want to be shooting as frequently as possible. Here we do not shoot. Additionally, this would be a perfect time to be charging up a right click, right? We don't need to reload for any purpose, so as we're coming around this corner, we probably want to be right click, right click, right click. That way, once you get here, you're able to launch off a full volley, and then that's going to maximize your damage. Typically, right click comes whenever you cannot see anybody, and this is a perfect time for that.
Yeah.
So note how we orb, and then we pause, and then we shoot, right? So it's just a little bit of delayed time where we weren't really doing a ton. Uh-oh, make sure we're keeping our eye on that trap. Junkrat's directly above you here, so it's possible that we're not aware of the fact that he's standing there, because he does. It looks like he just
No, I
drops
had
one.
no idea. I only
Yeah.
just saw.
To be fair, I didn't see him until after we went back anyways, right? But you do want to make sure that you're paying attention, being aware, listening, watching, looking at the ground. What comp are they on? Watching. Oh snap! I have to watch for Junkrat traps because they're on Junkrat. So you do want to make sure that we're paying attention and being aware of our surroundings, so we're not getting dead.
We cannot stop now. Move the payload.
Okay, noting that the Genji requested healing like 5 seconds ago, like he requests healing somewhere around here, and we don't even look to see, like, we don't look in his direction to see, like, can I heal him, right? So just listen, and I mean, I have it volume low. How well can you hear? Is it quiet?
At the moment, it is a little bit quiet.
Yeah, I usually turn it down so I can hear myself talk. So hopefully you can hear. I'll be quiet, but just listen. He does, and you can see it in chat as well, right? He requests healing. We don't really look around for him at all.
I need to recharge.
No, at this point, I was busy with trying to keep the Diva alive who was coming back in, and then the Moira got hit by the fire strike, which was my main priority, and I was waiting for the team to regroup basically, so that we could push ahead.
Yes, which note that he requested even before Moira took damage there, right? So he requested right then, and we already have Orb on Diva, so right now there's nothing else to do, so we probably should just be checking the Genji, and also note who's in more danger right now. A Genji who is close to their team, or our Moira in spawn, right?
Yeah.
We cannot stop now.
So now when we do finally look up at him, he is 1 HP, right? So we came very, very close to death, and we probably could have helped to stop that.
Justice is defined by the hand that claims
Ensure
it.
the payload progress.
Okay, be charging up those right clicks when you can't see people, right? Okay, a little bit more downtime as well there.
I didn't know where he was, and so in this moment, I actually remember this specifically. I heard he was yelling it. I did not know where he was because I hadn't seen spam in a while. And last time you did say, like, if you don't see him, consider where he might come from. And I thought, okay, so it's either coming from behind me or from the door to the right, and I'm not going to have the reaction time, so I'm going to turn now.
Okay.
Hopefully he doesn't kill someone with it. I can immediately heal them up. I won't die to it, etc.
All right, so let's look through that decision for a second here. So firstly, note that we probably should have been back on point still, because we are kind of on cart duty as of the moment, right? We're not, so we want to be pushing cart here so that we don't have to fight maybe a full additional fight when we could maybe fight like another half a fight, right? So we want to be on cart here pushing it through, because if we don't push cart at all whatsoever after we've won a fight, then the one fight doesn't actually do anything. And as Zenyatta, like, you know, we have a lot of range. We can sit back on cart and we're able to push it while still participating. Moira has to be close, Ryan has to be close, Diva has to be close, you know, the Genji has to be close. Hanzo is maybe a character, but usually it's the support's job to sit on cart. Now, that's the first thing. Second thing is that once again, audio awareness has failed us, because we, like, if you turn up volume here, right, and we've previously imagined throughout our sessions, we've already gone over the settings for audio awareness, right? So this is mainly just, I would imagine, just us not hearing and not paying attention to our audio, because we don't actually hear where Genji, or where the Junkrat comes from here.
Yeah.
So here, firstly, in noting that you can hear his footsteps just in the right room behind us, so you can just hear it to the bottom right, or back right, to be clarified. You can just hear his footsteps clunking around in there, so that's your first audio clue. And then additionally, he's also, I believe, if I remember correctly, he obviously tires from behind him. You don't actually turn around to see where the tire's coming from. It's possible he also, like, uses a minor trap, but we'll keep listening. Okay, so he doesn't actually, but he uses fire in the hole, right? It's, if you're listening to the audio, it's very clearly coming from behind us. As long as you have surround sound enabled to be able to hear that, and then if we do hear that it's behind, then we're able to, like, turn around and shoot at it. Now, let's say we do know it's there. We're able to shoot at it, or let's say we don't. Let's say we do not in this scenario. Like, if we do know it's there, we shoot at it. If we don't, right, then should we be trancing, right? That's now the question, right? So let's think. Trance saves us. Trance does not necessarily save our teammates. So essentially, we're using trance, and it's ulting one ult for one ult, and then it's saving our life, right? So we have to think to ourselves, is it worth it to use our transcendence? I would maybe say, honestly, I wouldn't say it's the most, like, it's the most terrible usage of your ultimate. But I would say you might want to just let Tyre kill you, because Junkrat's basically a guaranteed kill here, and then that means that even if you were to die,
As well.
he dies as well, and then it's a 5v5, right? And then if anybody else staggers, then that'll be good for you as well, right? So I would say that in this situation, you could honestly probably take it either way. It's not terrible if you do trance here, but you also would have it for other fights if needed, if we were able to hold on to it. And then ultimately, it's a lot better if we can actually just look at it and destroy it, because then we are able to not have to use it.
I do have to remind you, because we spoke about this in the very first one as well, where we talked about awareness and listening and where something's coming from, that I do have a problem with directional audio. That is kind of like where the looking around bit comes in, where it's like I should have looked around more. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you just hear the sound, right? Like, that is something. Thank you for reminding me on that, because that is something I forgot. If once you just hear that sound, just make sure you're doing a quick 360, right? Like, just look all around you, right? And then if you don't see Junkrat directly in front of you, right? Like we already said, if Junkrat's not here, well, then all we have to do is this, and then we're good, right? and then we see where it's coming from. So you can work around it, though you are correct, it is a handicap. Okay, our team spreads super far out. Okay. Note that we're losing this fight, and we're not, like, really backing up at all, right? Like, now it's a 2v3. They just use beat, and we're kind of like chilling on cart. I'd probably be, it's not like full on loss, but I'd probably be like backing up a little bit, playing a little bit more passive. Now we get the Roadhog, so that's good.
Assistance would be appreciated.
Okay.
I am moving the payload.
So, once again here, not really aware of the DPS who's behind us. Here we can even see that Hanzo runs off into this right room, right about here, right, where Hanzo runs off into this right room, and then you can. Firstly, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Hanzo's in this right room. What the heck is Hanzo doing, right? One easy way that like doesn't even involve audio. Audio, of course, can help, but one way that doesn't even involve audio is just like, do you see arrows coming out of said room? What does it mean if you don't see arrows coming out of the room?
And he's still moving.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
still
going
moving.
somewhere. Yeah.
Right. So in that case, if he's still moving, it's probably likely that he's coming behind you, right? And something of that sort. So just again, listening for just even if you don't have the directional, just listening in general for I hear a Hanzo somewhere. I know Hanzo is somewhere, so maybe I should look around, right? Um, Additionally, we lock a little bit on the Reinhardt here with what we're shooting at. We kind of lock onto the Ryan when maybe that's not the best target to be shooting at. Have we gone over target priority previously?
Yes, the reason I stuck on the Reinhardt is because I was hoping to burst him down with Discord on him. Because our Reinhardt was already on him, I was then on him, and if we had if there would be a couple more lucky shots, he would have been shut down. Is what I was
Yeah.
hoping for.
Note that he is nanoed full
Yeah,
HP and has an Ana pocketing him, right? Ana Lucio pocketing him. So even if your Reinhardt's swinging on him, he's still probably not gonna die. Like what you need to be aware of, like this maybe changes, right? The scenario changes, right? Let's say if he doesn't have team support, or if their Reinhardt is running into your team, right? So like let's say he's running into your team, or if you have 6 people on your team looking and shooting at Reinhardt. How many people are shooting at Reinhardt right now?
well, it's just me.
Just you and Ryan, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty much it. Maybe if you count is Baby Diva, but you know, so you Reinhardt Diva, and then he's just being pocketed and nanoed. So that's a recipe for probably like that's just a recipe for him not dying. So in this scenario, maybe like turning around and shooting at these guys would be much more profitable for you. You get more value out of that. Or even as the Ana is running by, you could be shooting at the Ana, right? Um, for Ana, all it takes is literally if you're hitting your shots, it only takes you 2 shots to kill the Ana. Versus Reinhardt, if you hit every single shot into Ryan, it's gonna take you 20 shots, right? If he's being healed up and nanoed, right? Has shield available. So things to be thinking about.
yeah.
Assistance would be appreciated.
We do get to do charged. Okay. Noting not for just noting for the moment that we're 3 minutes in or so to 240, something like that. And I think I've yet to see you use right click, right?
Yeah, I didn't use right click a lot in this game.
Yeah. So in general, like I said, you're using it pretty much anytime you cannot see someone. Now, I have the bad habit that I've gotten into of right clicking a little bit too much, where I right click probably like a little closer to like 70% of the time, and I'm not supposed to be doing that. But ideally, it's going to depend on the game, the situation, the team comps, the etc. But ideally, it's going to be around the 50-50 mark. It honestly, like, it's not terrible if it changes to 70-30 in a game, but there are going to be situations to right click and there are going to be situations to left click, and you want to look for one or the other. If you are left clicking way too often, that means that you're not taking advantage of downtimes and times where you could be charging up right clicks. If you're right clicking too often, that means that you're maybe sitting out of the fight too often. You're not participating. You're not left getting in as much damage as you could be getting in. So consider that. Anytime,
Yeah,
like, I'll point them out, point other times out. I already mentioned one earlier. I'll point other times out where we could just be charging up a right click, right?
yeah. Because I remember in the first one that we did, I actually did the opposite, where you also
Mm,
told me I was doing it too much. That's
yeah.
also why, but I'm staying away from it too much now. It's
Yeah,
just
so you overcorrect it a little bit. Yeah, that you want to be careful, just like with anything that I say. Make sure you avoid overcorrecting, because sometimes, if you take something I say to the extreme, then you go too far into the other direction, and then that means that you're now doing the wrong thing in the other direction, like with this example, right?
Yeah.
Or you could say the same thing with like most things, like I don't know, something as basic as cover usage, right? I could say good positioning is the usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover, and you could take that to the extreme of you should never leave cover, and then you never take space given when you're giving the opportunity or when you need to take space because you decide that you have to be behind something at all times, right?
Yeah.
So there are the extremes of what I will be talking about. So just keep your eye out for that. Here you want to find a nice balance between the two. Like I said, it's going to be approximately 50-50. I don't want you to I don't want you to be getting into a game and thinking I have to be right clicking as often as left clicking, but it's approximately 50-50 and then it can differ, but 100-0 or 90-0 or 90-10 is usually not going to be the right answer in 99% of cases.
Yeah.
I cast this forth.
Be one with the
So here, right, no, like another example, we turn around, we heal up Diva, maybe we can reload here, but as soon as we reload, then we can't see anybody, we have a lull in time, we know we're coming up around this corner, so we can charge up right click, turn the corner, volley, right? This opens up the opportunity for like one shot, or one shot volley kills. Oh, nice, we made it up. Once again, we could be, probably you should be reloading there as well. That's another thing to keep in mind, but we can also be right
Allow me
clicking.
to repair my damage.
Sometimes I'm noting that we do some spammy shots into nothing, so make sure you're avoiding that as it's just gonna waste ammo on your part, and you don't want to just have no ammo to work with all the time. So, like for example, here, watch how we go to put an orb on the. And I've seen you do this in maybe like 2 other instances as well. Watch how we go to put the orb on our Genji, and we're shooting at our Genji, right?
Allow me
So
to repair
looking
my
at our
Most
Genji.
often, I tend to do this just because I don't know what they're being damaged by, and as in the case that there's something right next to them, I'm already starting to shoot at it. But it's a bad philosophy to try to work with. It's not very useful. Loses a lot of ammo for
Yes,
no
not
reason.
not super because you can see everything this entire time. So just visual awareness, right? If
Yeah,
there's something shooting at Genji, you see the thing shooting at Genji, right? And the thing
yeah,
shooting at somebody isn't always on top of them, right? You can maybe like that's something that you
Allow
could
me to
maybe
repair
say
my
like if you have an
damage.
orb on Genji, or if you see the Genji needs help and you're around the corner and you can't see anything, you can charge up right click and turn the corner, shooting it in Genji's general area, right? That's something you could maybe do, like, but you shouldn't just be spamming on top of your teammate. And then it's like the same thing as if we're just like here shooting all our shots at a wall, right? Because it's just
yeah.
it's nowhere near any enemies, and then it just means that now we don't have ammo for when we actually need it.
Surrender to my will.
Okay, look, just look, you see some of those shots as well. Okay, another. Oh, never mind. You're good.
experience festivity.
Okay, looking at trance, thinking is trance needed? Currently, right, we can look at the fight and go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. We are currently blading. Their Reinhardt is half HP. Their Ana is half HP. Though we do have Diva, who is 1 HP, right? So in this scenario, what would you say, like off of the things that we've already talked about with watching kill feed and aggression and who's winning and
It's an
losing?
overinvestment. It's an overinvestment of ultimates.
Yeah. So what would you say the status of the fight is currently?
It's pretty much one.
Yeah.
Like
I'd
it's heavy advantage to say the least.
Yes, exactly, right? You got it correctly there. It's either at the very minimum a heavy advantage or a one fight, in which case trance probably isn't needed, right? And additionally noting that Diva is also purple when we're trancing, and then it's also just like one single person. Not in all cases, but in a decent amount of cases, one person is not going to just be worth it to trance for. I don't want you to take that to the over extreme where you just say, okay, I'm never ever going to transfer one single person. But it's usually you transfer the.
Oh,
Say that again?
I know that Diva was low. I also know that she was purple, but she was already purple for a couple of seconds, and I noticed that our Ryan was dropping shield and just running in, which is where I was uh, trying to bank the healing on and then healing up Diva as soon as she's done being purple.
Yeah, note that purple lasts 4 seconds, and if Diva's 1 HP and she just got purpled, then she probably is gonna die before she gets out of purple like that, right?
Respect what happens.
Um, and then additionally, right, like, yeah, Reinhardt's running in, but they also are gonna be looking at Genji because Genji's like blading, and on top of that, yeah, you can just orb
It's also
them.
good to be transing for so that he's pretty much not going to die for sure, unless he
Yeah.
gets one.
Yes. So like it's not to say that trans gets zero value here, it's just to say that it's not worth the value in comparison to saving it for a fight where it would be worth it, right?
Yeah,
Unlike other ultimates, Transcendence is a defensive ultimate, right? So like on other ultimates like Ana, I would be encouraging you to use it as often as possible. You want to be getting it out there doing things, right?
yeah.
But Trance is a little bit different because it's defensive, so you use it when it's needed. If it's not needed, you don't use it, right? Because then you don't want to just waste it for no reason, right?
That is something that I still work with because I used to watch a coach called Jane, and
Mhm.
one of the things that he kept hammering on, what I saw in like lower, is like
Mhm.
use your ultimates. And I
Yes.
got really into the habit of doing this on pretty much every character, which
Yeah.
is what you're
So
seeing as well.
everything in Overwatch is always going to be situational, and I definitely respect Jane, right? And he has the correct mentality, though I think that something either you missed from him or he was missing. I would assume that him being a good coach, you might have just missed this part. Is that it doesn't necessarily apply in every and all situations. The main concept applies, right? So I will, for example, I've had coaching sessions where I could recall one time where I had an Orisa who went 5 fights straight without using their ultimate, right?
Yeah, that
That's
kind of
that type of
yeah,
behavior is what he's addressing of you're never going to do anything with it if you never use it, right? It's not going to get any value.
yeah,
But there are times that you do hold on to it, right? Like let's say you won the fight before you got a chance to use it, right? Or you see that you have 6 ultimates and you don't want to use 6 ultimates. So you just decide, hey, I'm not going to use it, right? So there are going to be times, even with ultimates that you use frequently, that you don't use it.
yeah.
But in general, most ultimates in the game you're going to use frequently, typically as often as you get it, right? And then you hold on to it in certain situations. Transcendence is a little bit more you can hold on to it because
Not reactive.
it's
Yeah.
more reactive, exactly. It's more defensive in comparison to other ultimates that are offensive, right? So other ultimates you want to use early, trance you want to use, late after things happen. So that's why you might hold on to it more so than some others.
Yeah, it's something I'm trying to work out of my Zen because yeah, in general, the idea that I learned it with is like with offensive ultimates mainly, which is use it more so that you can also get more of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or yeah, you definitely want more of them, but then you also don't have
You
it for
need to
when
get
you need it. Yeah.
value. You need to get value with them as well.
Yeah. So here's just another tiny little example where like people go around the corner, take 1 second to reload or to charge up a right click, so they turn the corner and you can see them, right?
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Suiting up. Now show them. Activating self-destruct sequence.
Move it!
Help online.
Okay. Too much of our excuse me. Too much of our shooting seems spammy. So I want to emphasize that on when you're playing Zenyatta, 80% of your kit is DPS, right?
Yeah,
Um, so like just think about how little effort and thought should be put into your orbs in comparison to like Ana, where you're putting so much thought and effort into your abilities, right? Orb, someone requests healing, you put healing on them. Do you see someone who's low? You put healing on them, right? And then you leave it. You don't. It's not like you have to constantly be reapplying it.
yeah,
You have Discord Orb. You just pretty much you put on whatever you're shooting at. It's not something you have to think about. You just throw it out there on anything that pops onto your screen, right?
yeah,
That you're actively shooting at. Now your aim that actually takes effort. That takes you because you need to be thinking about how you're hitting it, and a little bit unlike like Ana. as a comparison, does require aim, but it's slightly lessened because your team's going to be a little bit closer in a lot of cases, and on top of that, you have a little bit of a what do you? I don't even know what it's called, but Anna's shots on her teammates get a little sucked in a little bit. They get vacuumed in.
Oh, they have a
Um,
bigger hitbox. Yeah.
yeah, bigger hitbox for teammates. So in general, and then also you can't hit headshots on Ana, right? So Zenyatta has a little bit more mechanical intensity than Ana, and he's also just been shooting at enemies a lot more than Ana. And in a lot of cases so far, our shots just seem incredibly spammy. Like we just like what it looks like is we press left click and hold left click down, and we have our brain on other things, and we're not thinking about how we're left clicking. So if we like go back, and this is essentially been most of what we've seen this entire time. Just look at like the majority of our shots, right? Like I don't even need to slow it down here. We can just look at like what are you shooting at? Are your shots anywhere close to hitting anything, right? And that's my measure usually when I talk about things like this, because I'm not gonna knock you super hard for just missing a shot, but it's more so, is the shot that you're missing a mile away from them, or is it just missing barely right next to them, right? So watch these, right? We're just missing some tracking. That's fine on him. Okay, we're spamming in there. We see them all. Okay, that's good. All right, that's all fine and dandy. We're just spamming in shots. All right, we reload.
Activating
We're
self-destruct
shooting.
sequence.
We're shooting. Now, here is where we can see that we're shooting at nothing, and we continue to shoot at nothing for a couple seconds. So we shoot like 6 shots at nothing there. Then we shoot at Ryan, and then we shoot at the floor here for a couple of seconds, right? And then we shoot a little bit more at the floor there, and then now we're back to Reinhardt. Yeah, let's see if we do it anymore. Shot one at the wall, a couple of more at the wall. Now we're back at Reinhardt, right? 1 into the building, 1 into the floor, 2 in the floor, 3 in the floor, 4 in the floor, 5 in the wall,
I
right?
noticed this now as like I'm actually really just if I am going to put an orb on someone, I'm automatically shooting in that direction as well, and I don't really
Yeah.
know how I do this.
Yeah,
That's
and
not
that's
something I really no, it's not something I really noticed before.
Yeah, and that's not something like that's not necessarily inherently a bad. Like, there's situations where that's okay. Like, let's say we're orbiting Diva right now. Would it be a bad thing to like? And we're right here. Would that be a bad thing to keep on shooting?
No,
No, because we're
because
gonna.
there's just 3 targets around there.
Yeah, there's like someone right next to her. In fact, it'd be a good thing to keep shooting. But when there's nobody there, then that's just kind of holding it down. And then now you don't actually have ammo for when you can be shooting at people. And yeah, that's the main one. Now you just can't shoot at people when you want to shoot at people. And also, it might even take you like if you're. It might also take like maybe extra brain power. I'm not sure what you're thinking of, but yeah, in general, put more effort and thought into who and what you're shooting at, make sure it's in the general area of people, target priority, right? Make sure you're shooting at the right people. And then additionally, practicing mechanics. Have you ever talked about like warming up and like how you
Yes,
can warm
yes,
up and stuff
yes.
like
We
that?
have talked
Right.
about numerous times, and I still do it now.
Mhm.
I actually have been doing it more lately.
Nice. So you've been going into like try hard free rolls?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
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 Okay. Yep. I definitely recommend keep that up. Pick Zen in there.
Mhm.
Just go and
Getting a lot more
try to roll
success
people.
fighting against traces and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like I've started to become pretty okay at dueling a tracer if she's coming for me and stuff like
Mhm.
that, which is something I'm pretty happy with.
Yep. Mhm. It's gonna be a good environment to learn how to do that. So yes, just more effort into it, because it just like it seems during these fights that we go in
My
and then we
ultimate
just
is
like
almost
we kind
ready.
of the I'm not sure like if it's everything, like I don't want to say your entire gameplay we put a film over it, but specifically within the mechanical department, we seem to get into the fight and then just like we put a shutter over the mechanics and we just focus on everything else besides that, right? It's just kind of
There is chaos
there, right,
waiting you.
existing.
This is my will.
Towering shields.
Surrender to
My
my
ultimate
will.
is ready. Proceed without fear.
Yeah, spam jumping a little bit, standing a little bit out in the open. Hanzo's behind us, shooting at us. We can hear this. We can, or hear this as in you can hear him and then look around for him. Additionally, note that when he shoots you, look at the direction that you take the damage from. Right, it's showing you it's from the left side of our screen. You see that right next to your crosshair, and it's also gonna. For some reason, it's not showing it here, but usually shows it on the side of your
It's
screen
showing
as
it.
well.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So, Hanzo's up there, right? And then that means that we can maybe look to pressure him a little bit if we do see him. Take cover from him.
Yeah, no, I was oblivious to the handle.
Ready for
Charge up right click right as you're turning that corner.
Activating self-destruct sequence.
Allow me to repair the damage.
I'll show them.
Continuing to shoot after he's dead. Charge up again, turning this corner, charging up a right click as we're turning this corner, right? So this would be a perfect time right here. Just launch one in there.
I pass this forth.
There is disquiet. Experience festivity.
Okay. Possibly wait a second to see how much damage they actually take before we're trancing the dragon, because it's possible they don't take any damage at all, especially like look how much time they have to react to that dragon because of how far away it is. So I would like not to say that we can't trance here if we see that the dragon is going to do stuff, but they do get out of it decently fast, and we maybe didn't need it, and then we have it for if they come out and they tire us, or if they come out and they just get somebody really low. It's not to say that's a battle in any case, in any means. Just again, maybe could have it looked for better.
I saw 3 health bars and the dragon approaching them rapidly. That's why I decided to give them a safe pass out. That's kind of what I was doing there.
Note as well that dragon doesn't kill you instantaneously. You have time to. So
But I wanted them to be able to continue pushing, which is what happened.
okay,
Like pushed out of the dragon immediately with the freedom of trance.
okay. So you wanted them to continue their forward momentum rather than having to back up. All right. So that's a little bit of an acceptable answer there.
One. Attackers incoming.
Okay. To start off, just charge up right click, launch it straight down this crack here, right into their faces. Spam them a little bit with your left click. As they're coming out, get some early damage in, charge up your ult.
The greatest enemy is that which lies within.
My will made real.
Okay, Roadhog below us. Do we hear it?
Chaos.
Doesn't sound like we did because we're not turning around. So we're gonna get hooked. Yep.
Because this happens. I do win this fight, I think, but that's purely because of the luck that he didn't hit me.
Yeah, I didn't even hear him shoot.
No,
So
he just completely overshot me, like over the head.
So awareness there, right? Because we definitely could have died there very easily. Okay. Now when we do turn this corner, okay.
Charging.
Right. So when we do turn over here, currently, is our plan to wait? Oh, do we want to be engaging now, or do we want to wait until our team regroups a little bit?
Me and Myra are both like walking towards the Rhine to like back us out as a pack of 3, but yeah,
Okay.
we got prematurely.
I think that you're better off trying to sit back and just like use your range and poke at them from a distance from behind as an off angle than you would be trying to escape here, because look how much distance you have to escape over, right? While 5 people on their team melt you the entire time, right? Additionally, we just kind of we kind of walk into them here rather than using our range to our advantage. So I would just probably look to back up and stay back rather than trying to escape when you're very, very far away and unlikely to escape. Okay. Lack of cover. Make sure.
Yeah. I don't know if it was this game or another game, but I've been trying to battle widows more and getting some success here and there.
Behind you.
Yeah, so there we didn't back up soon enough. We were, once again, I think we even walked in and tried to engage, even though we were down 2 people, so, or even down 1 person, something like that. So we probably want to be regrouping, and we were engaging. We also just don't use cover, and then that takes a lot out of us. Probably want to look to be taking high ground here when we get the chance. Probably you want to be coming out of spawn, just coming high ground, just because high ground's such a great advantage. Cover usage, we're a little bit out in the open right now. If it's a better hog, we die there, right? Just because hog hooks us, right? This hog, potentially there's 2 deaths that we could have had if they just have a little bit better of a hog.
Yeah.
Okay, watch shooting into that grasp. That's just feeding him health.
I am under attack. Experience festivity.
Okay, we ended trans, boosting in a little bit. You typically want to make sure you're being safe when you're ending trans, right? Like we just kind of boost out in the open. This means that if, like, unfortunately, nobody looks at us, but Sigma could have looked at us, Widowmaker could have looked at us, Sigma could have looked at us, Hog could have looked at us, Lucy, Brig could have looked at us, right? We have so many different people, so much stuff that could go wrong, when alternatively, all we have to do is end trans here, or end trans here, where we have cover, and Reinhardt, right? And team. So just making sure we're not standing smack dab in the middle of the open, so positioning there. Okay, probably want to be retaking high ground here, just remembering high ground is fantastic positioning, right? I think we've discussed this multiple times, and when you get the opportunity, every single fight you have like 20 seconds in between every fight, which means that that's a ton of time to just be rotating high ground, right? This means that you can contest Widow off of high ground, you can contest Echo off of high ground. This stops them from taking it. It means that you have fantastic angles to see the whole fight from and to shoot them from, right? Keeps you safe from their Sigma and the Roadhog and etc., right? And then you can always just drop to your team super easily. So take high ground. Good right click. If you see Sigma grasping there, you can cancel it by meleeing, and that'll cancel your right click.
He cancelled it for me though.
So, yeah.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Cassidy. It's time.
Oh my goodness.
You are your own worst enemy. Damn. I'm on fire.
Probably want to once again be coming out and going to high ground instantly, right? Just doing something like this, where we come up right side, come up this side, and then immediately take high ground versus coming out low ground, right? You just you have that advantage. It at most takes you like an extra 3 to 5 seconds for getting a big advantage,
Get into position.
and it was in the
A
middle.
worthwhile investment, to say the least.
Say that again. Yeah, worthwhile investment, and on top of that, it was in between a fight anyways, right? And then additionally, you could take it in between, like after that point anyways as well. Right click as you're turning that corner on the Doomfist. Right, you orb Doom, he's around the corner, right click, that way when you see him you can shoot at him.
Experience festivity.
Okay. Probably not fantastic usage, right? Nobody particularly needed it, so watch for, probably the thing is that we probably went over this last time we went over Zen, but like when you're trancing, typically you're watching for danger levels and of your teammates, right? And how low are they? They need to be low and in danger usually. And typically you want it to be a big group of them who are low and in danger. Once again, make sure you're ending your trance in safety. We end our trance smack dab in the middle of the open, right? So look at where we end our transcendence at.
That's actually something I'm going to be working on more because I didn't really notice it until you pointed it out twice now. And I do have a habit of doing this where I try to offensively push my team forward by showing the way, kind of a thing.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily your job as Zenyatta, right? So here,
Yeah.
and that's not it's not even necessarily a bad thing. Like, let's say we end trance and we're right here, not bad
It's
because
fine. That's fine.
Hog hooks us, we're good. Yay, or we end trance here. Hog hooks us, we're good, right? People shoot at us, we're good. But what we're doing is we're ending trance here, and the only reason why we don't die is because once again Hog misses us. Now, let's say Hog this game has a 30% hook accuracy, right? Not fantastic.
Yeah, he's not been hooking very
Yes.
consistently.
Not
No.
very, but not been hooking very consistently. He had 4 opportunities to kill you and didn't. What SR is this again?
2200.
Right, 2200. Like, what about plat hogs? Are they gonna be hitting the hook slightly more often?
I mean, my own hook accuracy is between like 64, 70%,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm.
about average, I
Yep.
expect.
Yeah, or even like so like you're saying, it doesn't even need to be a plat hog. It could even just be another hog at this rank, right? That's just better.
Yeah.
So in those cases we die, right? So these are still mistakes, even if they're going unpunished, right?
Yeah.
Surrender to my will.
Okay, watch shooting into the grasp again.
Double kill. I am on fire.
My ultimate is charging.
Once again, can take high ground. Okay, pushing a little bit too close. That's case number like 4 or 5 where we could have died again.
Yeah.
Right, so pushing a little close, pat like really far ahead of our whole team. Right, look where our whole team
It's
is.
kind of the problem where it's like, I'm making these mistakes, and in this game they just went unpunished for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yep, and
It
then
doesn't make any less of a mistake, though.
yeah, exactly.
I require aid.
Preparing the damage. Kill the
Okay, still really far ahead of our team. It's not our job to contest cart. That's the tank's job, and we don't even need to be this far forwards. Like, we could be back on this corner and be good. That's what you call, like, we don't have to go super in depth on that, but that's what you call choke point and no man's land usage, holding behind them rather than in the front or the middle of them. So this is a little handy for you to know as well. But this right here is it. I'd say it's a wider one, but this is still kind of a choke point right here,
Yeah.
and you want them to have to walk through it. If they have to walk through it, that's bad positioning for them because it funnels them, makes them easy to shoot, gives your team a lot of time to shoot them. And what we can do is we can just sit on this corner, and then they can't go past this corner, right? Now, if we stand in the front of it, well, now we have to walk backwards through this to escape, right, and to get out.
You get the easy time with us instead.
Yes, exactly. So here we're like just holding on cart when that's the tank's job, and then we're not even. This isn't even a good place to hold them, right? And then it's kind of a no wonder that we die, right?
Yeah.
The power of
Okay.
destruction.
Once again, we have looked. You have like 10 seconds before they actually cap here, so you have the time to come out on high ground. Coming out on high ground means that you could possibly look to you could possibly duel him if he's not expecting you and you have silent footsteps. You can get up like not right up next to because you don't want him to flash you, but you can get up next to McCree and kill him for not for free, but you can kill him here, right?
Yeah.
Might take a little bit of effort, but you can probably still do it, and then that's value. Okay, shooting those walls again.
I'm under attack.
Okay, right click when you can't see people. Well, I guess I can now. Right click or reload, that works. Okay, we're backing ourselves into the corner rather than like backing out right side where we want to be. So we're just backing out a little bit slow.
Experience festivity. I am under attack.
Alright, so in general, we and our team backed out incredibly slowly, right? We just kind of like, we paused and we paused and we paused and we paused and we paused rather than just turning around and going, all right, let's go, right? And just walking straight out. the entire time, you as well as your team, because it's not just you, but that's you also participated in it. You went super slowly, and
It's
then
also my responsibility to play for the team.
yes.
I should be making the correct choices regardless of what others do.
Yep, and then also you can maybe communicate it like, let's back out, guys. You guys had lost the fight. It was already like a 4v6, and we were backing out. We're waiting for the next fight. But what happened as a result of you backing out super slowly?
The Reaper took great position. Hog took a flanking position as well.
The one right before that. What happened as a result? Happened here. Right. What happened as a result of you backing out too slowly?
I had to end up popping trends because people were getting dangerously low.
Yeah. You because your whole team backed up super slowly, people ended up getting too low, and then that meant that we were forced to use trance, and then now we don't actually have trance for when we need trance, right?
Yeah.
Which is when they use Blossom and Whole Hog, right?
Yeah.
Now, additionally, let's look back at people who are low here.
Experience
Um,
festivity.
let's look like right to the second before we use it. So then we use it like right here, something like that. Okay.
Experience festivity.
Reinhardt, you see Moira's low, Ryan's low, Zarya's low. Now my next question is, are they in danger? Are they currently in danger?
Not super heavily because they're mostly already around the corner. Moira's faded, so she's not taking any damage anymore. The only thing that's really posing a danger at this point is the McCree. Because he's got an angle to still be shooting.
Yeah, and Reinhardt still has shield as well, right?
Is he shield? No.
Yeah,
He shield is broken, though, isn't
I believe he just dropped it. So he's still. Oh, let's look at it. He still has it available currently, right?
Okay.
Just a little bit, not a ton.
I thought it was broken. That's why.
Which you in that case again, once again, you get an audio cue of it going of the sound it makes when it breaks, right? So listening out for that also has an impact, because that's not directional. It's just a in general audio cue.
No, I'm not blaming everything on my
Yeah.
ears. Don't worry.
Right. So in general here, I would say you might want to try to do your best to wait, because even if if we trance here and we save our team, we just lose because they come in and use all their ultimates and we die, right? Because they have flux, which we need trance for, and they have reaper ult, which we need trance for, and whole hog we might need trance for, right? So probably want to do our best to hold out as long as possible here before trancing.
So I have been spending some time trying to work out better times to trans, and the problem I've had after this game, pretty much like in the recent 1, 2, 3 days ish, is where I'm actually noticing I'm consistently transing too late. Where the people I'm trying to save just die before I get there.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know, that's kind of a problem that I'm not working with. Because I did notice that, and I do notice in a lot of games where I'm trying to look for that value, and I'm seeing if I'm actually getting it or not, and then adjusting my play accordingly.
So, going off of a specific word I heard there, you said "before I get there." Does that have an implication that you were too far away from them?
As in, if I pop trans where I'm stood right there, I'm not gonna get hit them. I need to travel maybe less than a second to get there.
Yeah.
So that they actually are in the trance. So I'm slightly out of their range.
Yep. So when you do have trance, a positioning tip is to get closer to your team. Make sure that you're with them. That way, if you need the trance, you're there as fast as possible, right?
Yeah.
I am under attack.
Now, there we probably maybe want to do, rather than being on top of our team, we want to be a little bit spread out from them, because we know, okay, they're going to have, in this situation, they're going to, firstly, we don't have good positioning here whatsoever. We're close range, not our medium range. We're out of cover, right? Not using cover. And then we're also grouped up, all clumped on top of each other when they have Blossom, which affects us all close together, and Sigma, which affects us if we're all close together. And Whole Hog to some extent if we're all close together, because he shoots in one direction, right? So probably don't want to be clumped up on top of our team, right? We want to be split up and spread out. That's again another positioning thing. Oh, to actually stall them out there. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there, but we did manage to win that fight somehow.
Okay. Pushing forward really far. Look at where you are in comparison to your team, right? You're not a main tank, so keep that in mind. And we were doing that even on Zenyatta, who is even less of a tank than Brig, right? So keep your eye on
The
this,
reason why
because
I went forward here is because I wanted to stop him from grasping if he was going to do it, and I think I did hear that Hog just used his hook, so I was safe from the hook itself. That's why.
yeah, not worth it to suicide to get one stun in. Firstly, right? Secondly, does Hog use hook? I didn't see Hog use hook, so let's see. Does he have hook? No, he just used it there,
But
right?
I missed it from like his jangling footsteps that I thought that was the hook.
Yeah. So he didn't actually hook there. So
Yeah.
they have hook. Also, it's like 4 people who are looking straight at you, right? So probably not worth it. If you do anything, play on this corner. Use that as cover. Use your tanks as cover, right? Now we have our team tanking, or tanks tanking for us now. So now we can actually brawl a little bit. That's not nearly as bad. Because there we played on cover and we used our team, right? So that wasn't nearly as bad when we were pushing forwards. All right. Oh, lost track of time slightly here. So we're going to have to rush a little bit at the ending here, but you do got your notes, right? So it doesn't matter as much.
Yes. Yeah, no,
So,
I got notes, so I'll read afterwards.
yep. So, let's do review and main points, and then wrap up.
The enemies.
Yep. So, orbs, honestly, not a lot of issues, right? It's, of course, not perfect, and maybe some things that could have been better, but we didn't focus too much on it, and for the current moment, not a very high priority. So, orb priority, low priority for you to work on. Trance usage. Trance usage maybe could have been slightly better. We used it sometimes where we just note that you didn't need it, right? Where we could have just held on to it, where it just wouldn't have been useful, right? Like when we already win a fight or at a drastic advantage, noting that it is defensive. Don't force it where it's not needed. Besides that, just watch for when are people in low and in danger, right? You're waiting for that, and then also you're looking to try to get as many people as you can with it. It's fair, I would say that trance and beat and defensive ultimates are the ones that are the hardest to actually get down well, because you have to be able to, because there are going to be times that are better, and you're always playing kind of the risk versus reward, right? Because if you wait, then you might have your teammates die, and if you use it now, then they might have something riskier in the future, right? So that you always have to weigh the the different options in your head, and there are going to be a lot of different options, right? So you always have to weigh it. But yeah, just in general, a couple of them could have been better this time, but not a insanely high priority. Probably the lower end of a medium priority. Mechanics. Make sure that we are right-clicking more often. We didn't really right-click at all. I don't think we did. We maybe one time or so. I don't remember seeing us do it.
I
No.
saw it twice, but
Yeah.
it was significantly too little.
Yeah, so use it more often, just anytime there's nothing else to do. Just anytime you just want to get shots in there, anytime you're coming up around the corner, you use it. That way when you see people, you can shoot them. Additionally, make sure reloading as well. Using that downtime. In general, put more effort into your shots so they're not super spammy. Don't be doing this, right? Stop shooting when you're just putting orbs on teammates unless they are actually you're shooting people still, right? Because that is something we can do. I can do this, right? While I'm doing that, and orb, and I can do this, right? But just add a pause in there if you're looking to the side, right? So I'm just gonna pause, shoot, right? That way I'm not wasting some shots where I could be using them. Also, target priority. Should have those DPS and supports, those easy targets to kill more than the tanks, unless tanks are low, out of position, or the only thing you can't shoot at, right? Focus on those easy targets to kill. And then that's about it. Overall mechanics was probably and then also, again, actions per minute. Just make sure you're shooting at things and not taking downtime. Overall, probably the higher end of a medium for you to work on. Possibly a medium high.
I'm doing more triad free-fall because I do notice that in there I'm starting to consider my shots a lot more because there's so many things going on around me. I need to make the shots count. Whereas I guess in a team game, I'm hoping for more that my spam is gonna be the drop that overloads the bucket kind of an idea.
Yes, when you still want to be participating and getting kills because you want to look to carry, not just merely participate, right?
Yeah.
So, moving on, we have positioning. Positioning, make sure you're using cover. Something we actually frequently left cover, right? Make sure we're using cover still. Make sure you're taking high grounds. High grounds are fantastic. Look to take them in between fights. And even when coming back from spawn and the like, make sure you're keeping your medium positioning away from the enemy team. It doesn't have to be medium away from your team per se, but it is medium away from the enemy team. So keep that distancing. Don't run up into their faces. As Zen, Brig, though, that is a little bit closer, though make sure you're using cover once again and using your tanks. Don't be that face tank. And then, yep, that's pretty much it. Overall, though, that was probably like a higher end of medium once again. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily know if I want to put it a high to medium to high, but like just a higher end of a medium. Same as like mechanics. And then finally, we have awareness. Awareness, pay attention to, in general, I think you're good on your HUD. Pay attention to what's going on around you. That's probably the biggest thing, is just paying attention to, because there's so many times like we just didn't notice there's an enemy like right here. Like we would
On
be
your
like,
dog. Yeah.
yeah, it'd be like right here, and there'd be an enemy like right here, and that happened like 5 times throughout that game, and we just didn't notice them, right? So
Yeah.
keep your ears open, all right? Know that there's a handicap there, but keep
Yeah. No.
on keeping
And
on.
it's handicap. It means
Mhm.
that's not an excuse. That's just something I have to work with.
Exactly. So keep on keeping on with that. Look around yourself more often. Pay attention to where people are, and just the
I've been
general flow of
trying
the
to
fight.
do this a lot more in my games actually in the last couple of days, where I've been focusing a lot more on knowing who is where and like trying to work in the random 360s. Like if I hear something but I don't know where it is, to reflexively do a 360 to see
Yep.
if I can spot it quickly. And it is actually working.
Exactly
I'm
what you
getting
want to be
more
doing.
intel on what's happening around me that way.
Yep, and that one probably goes to like a higher end of a medium as well. So there's a lot of things stacked up in the medium. So then order real quick. So number 1 is probably going to be mechanics. Number 2 being probably a tie between positioning and awareness, and noting that all three of those are very, very, very close to each other, right? All three of those, right? Like you could honestly work on any of them. I'm just giving you one to put as number 1, right?
Yeah.
No, and then after that, number 3 is going to be your trance usage, and what was and then ability usage not even on the board, right? So it's just those, put it in that order, right? And then you got any questions?
No. It's great as always. Got some new
Alrighty.
stuff to work with, and like got some extra reminders to be kind to myself. That like mainly knowing when a fight is won and lost and stuff like that's kind of like slowed down. Like I've not been focusing on that much 2-1, on that much 2-1, on that one too much. There we go. I've been focusing much more on mainly my trans